Hey guys, so I promised you I would do a kind of how to for the karyotype practice activity. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen since majority of you have that activity missing since you don't understand what it is that you're actually doing. We're going to go into the Thursday, March the 18th folder. And there you'll find both the PowerPoint and the Amoeba Sister video. If you are unsure what karyotypes are, I recommend you watch that video again. We showed it together in class. Now the karyotype activity is actually located at the bottom in this karyotype practice folder. You'll click on this folder and you'll see three different things. The first being the chromosomal disorders. I would open that in a new tab and just have it readily available. It has a better view than just to preview it there on the main folder. Now the practice and the actual Schoology assessment where you're going to be submitting your answers for your grade. You have 2 attempts at it. So if you've already used one of your attempts, just please make sure that you understand what it is that you're doing. And if you still don't understand what you're doing, do not hit submit. Go to tutoring, ask for help. So now I have everything in this folder open in its own tab, my disorder, my slide, and my actual submission. So I'm going to go ahead and preview this so that you're able to see what it should look like. Now, in the slides activity, I had already done one of the karyotypes with you. So here's where you're going to collect your information on this main page. I also list a normal male karyotype, and you know that it's male because the 23rd pair has an X and a Y. They clearly don't look identical to one another. And then you have a female karyotype. Again, you know it's female because it has 2 X's. Please note that if it doesn't have anything in the Y, it's not a mutation. Females do not have a Y chromosome. That is specific to just males. So please be cautious and wary of what assumptions you are making. Now, here is the explanation of chromosomal disorders. The same thing that I opened to you in the other tab. If you open this activity before I had included the slide, you may actually have a slides activity that doesn't have it. That's why it's in your main Schoology folder. Now, the individuals of the karyotypes that you're going to be examining are going to begin in slide 6, and I color coded them so they are all here in this blue background. Now, when looking at a karyotype, you're going to want to identify one of 2 things: sex, mutation. Now, you're able to tell the sex on the 23rd pair. Again, this will be dictated with X's and Y's. The mutations are going to be found in pairs 1 through 22. And the way that we identify a mutation is by simply counting. And we know how to count to 2. If you have more than 2 chromosomes, or if you're actually missing a chromosome, it is going to be very important for you to identify that by naming it after the count on the pair. So if you're missing one, the prefix mono is going to represent 1. So that's going to be your monosomy. And if you have an extra one, your prefix tri is going to represent 3, and that's your trisomies. Okay. So walking you through how I answered number 1. I said that this was a male with an extra X chromosome, which is Klinefelter syndrome. So let's look at this karyotype together. I'm going to annotate on my screen so that you're able to see kind of the thought process behind completing this activity. I have 2 chromosomes in pair 1, so that's good. It's good. And you're going to just make sure that you have 2. If you have more, if you have less, you have found a mutation. Continue to go through this. Now, clearly here on this last pair, I have 1, 2, 3. I have 2 X's and a Y. And because Y is indicative of a male, I know that this is a male with an extra X chromosome. You can come over to your disorder page, and you will see that as you read through these, that Klinefelter syndrome is actually going to be this mutation where we have an extra set of chromosomes. Now, if you are reading through these and you're still stuck and you're like, I don't know what's going on, always go to handy dandy Google and click XXY. XXY is going to give you Klinefelter syndrome. So now that you know the name, you can come back to your chromosomal disorder list. Your notation is going to be at the bottom of the syndrome. So don't be anxious when it comes to like, I don't know the actual mutation. It's fine. You're going to be okay. So here, obviously, it's going to be 47XXY. So that is what I listed in my chart, 47XXY. 47 because I have one extra. I'm supposed to have 46 in a normal male. And that X is indicating where my mutation was. This is obviously, again, this is going to be a male because of that Y chromosome. And in this mutation, I have an extra X chromosome, which is a female chromosome. So this is going to be a male with some female characteristics. And the diagnosis is called Klinefelter syndrome. Once you have all of this information, again, there's 9 individuals. I did one for you. So you're only responsible for the 8 that are remaining. And those begin here on slide 7, moving on. And I can tell you right there, you're going to just go through and look for where is one extra, one missing. Here is one extra. So this is going to be trisomy 18. You can always go to handy dandy Google to get your syndrome name. You can come back to your chromosomal disorders, look for Edwards, and boom, you got your notation down here. Again, remember that the 23rd pair tells you the sex, so an X and a Y, that's going to be indicative of a male. And if you don't remember which one's which, I put a baseline for you here. XY is male, XX is female. So now let's talk about how we're going to submit our answers into Schoology. Once you have your individual's characteristic or mutation and syndrome and everything figured out, you're going to open up your practice and it tells you individual 1 is a, so this was a male with Klinefelter syndrome. Now I will tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 syndromes and none of them are going to be repeated. So you're going to use 1 for each karyotype. Once you have selected that, you move on to your next individual. Again, this is the one that I just walked you through. I will tell you right now, there's trisomy 18, which Google told us was Edwards syndrome. Because it's an X and a Y, this is a male with Edwards syndrome. And you just continue to move on. The only thing that will be taken up for a grade is this Schoology assessment, which is why you have 2 attempts at it. Please be very careful when importing your answers because they all have the same layout and it just has the number of the individual change. So just make sure that you're on the correct individual. Now, once you get towards the end, there are a couple of questions just about karyotypes. If you are having a hard time with these 2 questions, you can always go back to the main Schoology folder for March the 18th. And there you will find the karyotype PowerPoint presentation to help answer those questions. I hope this helps some of you. I know that a lot of the missings were because you guys didn't know how to complete this activity. This video is obviously going to live in the Karyotype Practice folder, all right? If you're still unsure of how to complete this activity, my tutoring is on Thursdays from 6 to 10.